Good afternoon. I recently finished reading The Last Room on the Left by Leah Konen. So this is primarily a murder mystery. The main character, or at least the first main character, like the one that it starts on, is a woman called Carrie, who is an aspiring novelist. She recently sold a short story to the New Yorker that was extremely well received. So well received, in fact, that her agent was able to sell the rights to her first actual novel. Not only that, she was contacted for a possible movie deal with the book. So it seems a little as though Carrie is poised on the verge of all her dreams coming true, except for one really significant factor, which is that she has not been able to actually write it. Like, she maybe has 50 pages, but since then, like in the year or so, like with her deadline coming up, she has made very, very little progress, and it's starting to become very stressful. Like, there's the chance that she might end up losing her dreams, like in an extremely mortifying fashion. So in an attempt to rekindle, I guess, her ability to write and to find some inspiration, Carrie gets a temporary caretaker position at this renovated motel. Like, her plan is to get some time alone to really get herself into the right mood in order to finish writing her book. Unfortunately, her life in general has kind of fallen apart in the last couple of months. Like, she had been trying to conceive a child with her husband, but like that wasn't working out. She has a very bad drinking problem. Her husband has now left her. Like, they're currently not together. She's blocked like her best friend on all her social media accounts, and in general she's just mentally in a really bad place on top of the stress of not finishing her book. And things are only made worse when she arrives at the motel to discover like this human hand sticking up out of a pile of snow. Like, she arrives in this sort of out of the place place out in the middle of nowhere right as a big winter storm is coming. Like, she loses power and there's this dead body outside. Of course, she tries to get help, but when the police come back with her to the motel, the body is gone, and now they think maybe she's a little crazy, since she had been drinking and she has like her anxiety pills and like all these things that kind of point at someone who is not very stable and possibly not very reliable. So perhaps understandably, they don't really believe her. And after they leave, like, she's starting to even doubt that maybe she herself is going crazy. Like, it's not actually the first time she would have kind of hallucinated something, even though she doesn't really want to admit that she has like serious problems to herself. Only she opens the freezer inside and lo and behold, the body is there. Like, she's not imagining it, and now she is sincerely freaked out because not only is there a dead body, someone moved the dead body, meaning that, someone else knows, and very likely that someone might be the person responsible for that person being dead. So because there's like no power, she can't really leave with the storm going. There's all these people who don't believe that there is a dead body in the first place. She doesn't have any internet, so there isn't really anyone she can call anyway. She has to figure out both like what happened to the woman and who did it in order to protect herself. Like, it's really the only thing that she can do, and she's hopefully not going to go crazy in the meantime. Things are complicated even further when she discovers that the body may in fact belong to someone that she knows. So the second main character of this story is Siobhan, like Carrie's best friend. Like, it's written in first person for both women. So this is one of those murder mysteries that bounces back and forth between like what is happening in the present and what was happening about a month ago. So like, starting with Siobhan, who is an aspiring filmmaker. Like, she was also looking for inspiration and also took the caretaking gig at this motel and came to try to get herself in the right frame of mind and to use the setting, I guess, to create a short horror film, like hopefully in a way to like jumpstart her own filmmaking career. because she hasn't really made anything significant for quite some time. And yeah, like it goes into a lot of the complexities for both these women because their personal lives, like relationship-wise, have been going really badly for both of them. And then there's the question of like, you know, why one blocked the other on social media and like how everything got as bad as it currently is. And then it's all tied up with the circumstances around the murder mystery, around like what happened back then, what's happening now, and it eventually comes back together, like the plot line and everything. So I'm going to talk about what I think the story did well and what I didn't like at the same time, because I think it's kind of tied together. So on the whole, I have to admit I did not particularly enjoy reading this story. Like there wasn't really a lot of dialogue. It took several chapters before characters even started talking to each other. A lot of the first person, I think you spend a lot of time just in their heads listening to like Harry go a little crazy, for instance, and hyperventilate about everything that is happening. And there's a lot of self-sabotaging, like with her and her drinking, for instance. Like a lot of the problems that these characters have, they kind of brought on themselves, I guess. So in that way, it was extremely frustrating. And the tone of it was overall like a little oppressive and kind of grim. Like there isn't really any humor, and it all felt kind of, I'm not sure if that makes sense, but kind of gray, I guess. I mean, it's definitely a snowstorm out in the middle of nowhere kind of story. So it wasn't, I guess on top of that, like the way it ends, I guess left me feeling kind of unsatisfied. Like it would have what I would consider a not very good ending. Like I think it's the kind of story where you can definitely, like if you want to analyze it and take it apart, you could probably pull a lot of meaning out of it on like women and men in society and like people's relationships and the things that people put up with that they really shouldn't, and etc., etc. But it's not really the kind of book I would necessarily enjoy like as a leisure activity, I suppose. So why did I finish reading it? I do think the mystery element was done extremely well. Like I often don't like the kind where they bounce back and forth, because it feels a bit like the past plot line always basically just tells you what happened as you read, and that's not really interesting as mysteries go to me. But I think this one did a better job with that, because instead of having a background line that just gives you all the answers, it was like two different plot lines that do actually eventually come together and join like in the present, and eventually like get to a point where you get more of the answers. I mean, you still don't, well, it's a little hard to explain, I guess, without giving stuff away, but suffice to say the mystery element I think was done really well, and I read the whole thing because I did want to know the details of like what happened, how it happened, and why.